All right, what I'm gonna be doing in this first video is getting a baseline breath hold. We're not beginning the method yet, but this is good so we have a reference point on how well it's working. And something to keep in mind is, I realize I'm being a bit hypocritical when I say this, but at the end of the day, the numbers are not what's important. The process is, and that's rejuvenating your bloodstream with oxygen, really overwhelming your system and getting all that oxygen delivered all over your body. It's very meditative. I don't meditate, but I guess this is a form of it for sure. When I'm doing my baseline breath hold, I'm not hyperventilating or anything crazy just yet, just taking a few deep breaths in and holding it. Don't worry about what your score is. I think most people are in the 60 to 90 second range. If you're less than that, great. That's all the more room you can improve. If you're more than that, awesome. You've got a leg up on us. There's a dog in the screen. Her name is Abby. She's nosy. All right, right around a minute right here. That's just on one breath before we begin the method. This is just to have a reference point on now and after. Okay, next we need to practice breathing. And that sounds dumb, but most of us don't do deep breathing on a daily basis. So here we go. All right, here I'm about to actually begin the method. Make sure before you do this, you're seated or lying down. You're not driving or underwater or doing anything where a risk of passing out would not be good. All right. The purpose behind breathing, as we are, is getting all of the CO2 out of our blood and replacing that with oxygen. Because our need to breathe is not triggered by not having enough oxygen, believe it or not, but it's due to the buildup of CO2. So if we can get all of that out, then we'll be holding our breath longer. Pay attention to my chest and even my head. I'm not perfect at this, but it is a way. You're trying to completely fill your chest cavity with air. When we breathe in, you're going to take a huge breath in, force as much in as you can, and just let it out. Don't force it out, because you can exhale a lot longer than is natural by forcing yourself. Take it all in and then relax. Breathe all the way in and then let go. If you've seen any of Wim's videos, it's all about letting go. Just letting go. All the way in and then letting go. But that's the purpose behind breathing like this. I think most people say to do around 30 to 40, all the way on up to 60 breaths. I don't always count mine. I just breathe until I feel full. You'll get what I'm saying after your first round. Tingling in your fingertips and toes and extremities is normal. Don't panic. That's completely normal. Your body's not used to having that much blood in your system. I force in these last 5 or 10 as quickly and deeply as I can. And then my last breath in, I hold. Some people do it a bit differently. they exhale, they let it out and hold that. I've found it just for myself. This works best for me. I encourage you to try the same. Try any number of methods. But what we're doing is hyperventilating, holding your breath, and triggering a few really cool chemical responses in the brain. As you feel the urge to breathe or feel any additional pressure on your chest, just the desire to inhale or let go, just let out just a smidge of air at a time, just a quick breath, just a poof. Do that each time. That should relax you a bit more. I'm very much not doing this next part, but don't focus on the time. I'm horrible at this right now, especially because I'm filming and trying to record an example of all this. Don't worry about the time. Just let your mind go clear. Don't think about anything. As you need to breathe, let it out. One more at a time. The more pressure that's building up, let out a little more. And then when you need to breathe, breathe. Yes, we could all hold our breath to the point of passing out, but that's not the point of this. About 142, which I'm always impressed with the numbers that do come up. Although yes, they're not important. But I've actually been smoking off and on for 10 years, which is why this is that much more impressive to me. I'm going to be doing 3 rounds, and you'll see why as you do it with me. All the way in, let it out. All the way in, let it out. Breathe in as deep and hard as you can. Fill up your chest all the way up until you feel like your head's about to explode, and then let go. The purpose behind this isn't so you can hold your breath for a long time. I guess that's a cool party trick, or I don't know, something to, impress your athlete friends with. Maybe free diving, that'd be really useful. But the whole point behind any of this is not so we can hold our breath for a long period of time, or or weather cold temperatures better. It's to improve our health by kind of supercharging your blood. Your body can't live without oxygen, and what we're doing is giving every part of our body a shot of oxygen that we didn't know we needed. When the way we're doing that by holding our breath is when your body gets desperate for a breath of air. You can feel this as it happens, and all the more reason to do it, because it doesn't take but 10 minutes to do 3 rounds. When your body triggers itself to breathe, but you don't allow it to, your brainstem is actually releasing adrenaline into your bloodstream, which is super cool, and has a ton of benefits behind it, especially in a closed circumstance such as a living room or somewhere safe. Don't put yourself in harm's way by doing this just so you can get a shot of adrenaline. But it reduces inflammation, which really is the cause of so many diseases and ailments. Something's inflamed. It keeps you, if you have healthy blood, everything else is going to be healthier. So that's the reason behind this. There are a lot of books out there, like many others. The one that really introduced me to Wim Hof was What Doesn't Kill Us by Scott Carney. He's an investigative journalist who was traveling around trying to disprove all these witch doctors and crazy people with their snake oils. He ended up taking a course with Wim to prove its insanity, and all he did was prove himself and Wim right. I really encourage all of you to at least do a little bit of research, maybe some reading. Definitely recommend that book. And then there's plenty on YouTube about Wim Hof. Okay, this was a little over 2 minutes for me. While not my best breath hold, it's still just within 10 minutes. I went from a 60-second breath hold to 2 minutes and 14-second breath hold. And it's not because I'm special or have a great lung capacity. It's just, I think a term I've heard thrown around is biohacking. And it's a great feeling pushing yourself with these types of limits that you don't even have to leave your house for. On to my last round of breathing. I think on this one I tried counting my breaths. I don't remember what I was going for, maybe 50 or 40. But either way, I tried counting my breaths instead of doing my usual deal, but I'm sure I lost count and just went until I felt full again. Do whatever floats your boat. There's a lot of guided sessions on YouTube that count the breaths, and you can just go with that. I don't always follow those because my rhythm is always a bit off from whoever's narrating. On one of the online forums that I'm on, people have talked about doing this method for 30, 45, 60 minutes straight, just round after round after round, just to get into a really hyper meditative state. Of course, there's benefits from that. That's not really what I'm personally going for. I'm just trying to improve my health. If anyone's watching this and sees me making mistakes or giving bad info, let me know. Call me out. I'm doing this along with you guys. Hopefully we can hold each other accountable. As I critique myself and do this personally, I don't know how to take the biggest breath possible without tensing up the rest of my body. I found when I first started this on a flat surface, and yeah, I dropped my timer right there, but we'll see. I'll keep time in my head on the recording. Anyway, when I first began this, my lower back, and I've always had problems there. Not always. For the past few years, I've had problems there since I had an injury. My lower back was just crippling. Like, how is breathing causing me so much pain? And I realized it's because I'm tensing up, lifting my chest. So I just put a simple towel underneath, and that's helped me out tremendously. Get comfortable. You don't have to be lying flat. You can do it sitting up. lie back in a recliner, whatever works for you. I definitely messed myself up there mentally and got in my own head. I was too worried about the time. I think that was right around 2 minutes. Didn't quite beat round number two, but again, that's not what this is about. It's more about the process and what we are doing with our bodies. The numbers are just a good reference point, not a grade though by any means.